I was an elementary school teacher for 15 years. So what I'm going to try to do is sit you all as third graders. Just don't throw spitballs, okay?
That'll work.
And don't pinch each other. This is something that I have thought about a lot, and so I entitled this Manifesting with Memory. And this is not a talk about memories that we might have that are caused by war, abuse, and other events that can damage the mind and soul. I'm no expert on that. I'm talking about memories from childhood that are happy, funny, profound, and playful. Kids play, and when adults are not around to influence them, they will invent ways of acting out their desires and hopes for the future. That desire is usually expressed with, when I grow up, or let's pretend. Children come here knowing their purpose for this lifetime. They understand on a soul level that manifesting a desire only needs joy, no doubt, and laughter to send that desire out into the universe so that it comes back as reality. Sadly, most of us forget this as we grow older, and all the dictates of our particular societies take over and dim that childhood knowing. We have all heard the phrase, words are things, or thoughts are things. But I have found that memories are things also, especially memories from childhood play. Today, I'm going to share a story with you I wrote several years ago, right after my retirement. I pulled it out a few months ago, and it's a long story, very long. I think I tried to put my whole life story into it. So when Maria and I talked about me reading a story here today, I took it and I chopped it down, fit it into about a 25-minute space. If I tried to tell you this story, we would be here all day because I go off on tangents. So today, I'm going to share that story, and it's about 6 children playing together. And in their play, they are each sending out strong desires of what they want for the future. This story was, like I say, written and changed, and I may not completely read it, but if I didn't have it here, I'd be lost. Remembering a happy time from childhood not only helps us discover our true purpose, but just choosing to bring back a good memory instead of a bitter one helps us manifest joy in the moment. When we smile, laugh, or even shed a few happy tears over a memory, it also sets us up for anticipating the future with hope. So let me tell you my story. I call it Corpse Envy. Yeah, that's right, Corpse Envy. It was a hot Sunday afternoon in August, and it was pouring rain. My family, consisting of my mama, daddy, 1 sister, 4 brothers, and me, were home from church and had changed out of our go-to-meeting clothes and into our everyday duds. We had lunch, which we called dinner, and Mom and Daddy decided to take a nap since we were not going to have company that afternoon. There was no working on Sunday in our old-fashioned Baptist household, so this was a luxury for my parents. Having 6 children to feed and clothe was a big job for both of them. Mama's full-time occupation was taking care of us, while Daddy worked 3 jobs to keep us going. He was a Baptist preacher, but the small country churches he pastored didn't pay a living salary. We farmed cotton, and as that didn't pay much either, he worked at a chicken plant in Gainesville, part-time on the 3rd shift, sharpening knives. Goodness knows they both needed a nap. So let me paint a word picture of that homestead on that Sunday afternoon in Forsyth County, Georgia. It was sometime in the 50s. I see an old farmhouse sitting up on rock pilings. It has gray weathered planks of siding with a few missing here and there. It has a rusted tin roof and sits under a big oak tree. It has no indoor plumbing except for a cold water pipe in the kitchen. This is new, and we consider it a luxury since we no longer have to draw water from the well that sits across from the house. Right up the hill, on the right, is a smokehouse, a small shack where we keep our cured meat and cow feed. It leans to the side, like it's had too much to drink, is on the verge of falling over. It is covered with wooden shingles and green moss. The barn is made of logs that are almost petrified with age, and it sits to the right of the smokehouse. It has 2 stalls, and our plow horse Maudie lives in one, and a milk cow named Bossy lives in the other. There is a loft over both stalls where hay is stored. That loft is usually home to an uncounted number of barn cats. Out from the barn on the right is the corn crib, also made of logs with wooden shingles. There is a shed attached where we store the cotton until it is taken to the gin. Right behind the shed is the hog pen. A small chicken house sits below the corn crib and has a newer tin roof because it is a more recent addition to the farm. Black tar paper has been tacked into place on the sides with silver can lids placed under the tacks to keep the delicate tar paper from pulling loose in the wind. It has been built to grow chickens for the industry that is bringing a better way of life to Georgia. I brought a visual. I told my daughter I was going to do this. I said, you know, they're not going to know what I mean by can lid. We canned everything we ate, and these were left over. And we saved them. Nothing went to waste. You put a tack through this, and you drive it into the side of a building, the tar paper won't pull loose. So that chicken house was just decorated with these. It's beautiful. So I told her I was going to bring that visual. I might use it, I might not, but since you're 3rd graders, you need visuals, right? So on this particular Sunday, Mama decided to send the baby with us to play while she and Daddy enjoyed their nap. She told us to go play in that empty chicken house, but to not let the baby run off or put things in his mouth. He was toddling, and like most babies, that was his job, running away and tasting things. She put Joanne in charge since she was the oldest. So the 6 of us went out into the warm rain and into that small chicken house that hadn't had chicks in it for several months. It was dusty and had lumps of dried chicken manure everywhere, with a layer of white feathers on top that would drift up and float around any time the slightest breeze touched them. It smelled of chickens, rusty metal feeders, and of the rain falling outside. We didn't care about the smells in the dust. We were wild, rough, and totally free to be children when we all played together with no adult supervision. We acted out plays based on what we knew of our limited world. And that was centered around our small Baptist church and our red dirt cotton farm. Now, let me introduce you to the 6 of us in that chicken house. First, there's Joanne, the oldest. She is small with light brown curly hair. She has a heart-shaped face that gives her a delicate appearance. But don't let her looks fool you. She's bossy, knows how to organize things, and we all do as she says. Then there's Brenda. I am next to the oldest. I am tall for my age, with big hands and feet, reddish blonde hair, and huge brown freckles. Today, I am feeling slightly rebellious because I brought along a piece of cardboard and a stubby yellow pencil. I want to draw and not be bossed around by Joanne. Next in line is Bradley, who's 11 months younger than me. He is already growing tall on his way to his 6'6" frame that he will achieve when grown. He and I look almost like twins. He has already decided what he wants to play today because he has seen John Wayne on our neighbor's TV. He wants to play war and be the hero. He hopes Joanne will allow this, but he has his doubts. Next is Harold. Harold has dark hair, and he's already handsome. He will turn out to be 6'7" when grown, and is already a big boy. He would like to play David Crockett because he has seen the movie. But what he is really good at is singing and pretending to be a preacher like our daddy. Next is Donnie, with 2 blocks of wood that he pretends are his trucks. He is already down on his knees in the dust and chicken manure, making roads and raising feathers that look like strange August snow as they fall. He has light brown hair and the most amazing purple blue eyes that most people never see because he keeps his head down and doesn't say much. Last in line is Danny, the baby. He's just toddling. He has blonde fuzz and is wearing nothing but a saggy diaper. He hasn't displayed any personality traits yet, except he tends to put everything he finds in his mouth and will disappear like a ghost when no one is looking. As we all settle down on our chicken feeder seats, we know who will pick what we will play this day. It will be Joanne, and it will be her favorite game, funeral. Funeral. This may sound morbid to anybody who didn't grow up the way we did. I'm not going to elaborate on what a country funeral was like back then, because you've read or heard about them. But to sum one up in a few words, they were elaborate, emotional, and there was loads of food involved. All of these things added up to drama, and was a major play topic for us since we had experienced funerals all of our life. The person that made playing funeral almost an obsession with Joanne and me was our Grandma Rhoda, who lived not far from us. Both of us would walk out the dirt road and spend the night with her. She would talk to us about what she had planned for her funeral, her big day. She would open her old round-topped trunk, and we would hold our breath against the mothball fumes that would rise up around us. Inside would be a beautiful new dress, folded carefully so that it wouldn't wrinkle. There would be shoes, stockings, and underwear. Carefully written instructions lay on top of it all so that she would be dressed exactly as she wanted. She would cry and wipe her eyes on her apron as she talked about how wonderful the entire event would be. So Joanne and I loved playing funeral. And while I was usually agreeable, today there was a problem. I was feeling put upon because Joanne always got to be the corpse. She always appointed herself the starring role and enjoyed all the attention. She never ever allowed me to be the corpse, and I was tired of it. I was determined that today I was going to stand up to her and change all that. When she announced that we were going to play funeral again, the boys grumbled a little, but knew that to protest against her was futile. So they agreed. I, on the other hand, marched up to her, stuck out my lower lip and said, "I'll play, but today I get to be the corpse." She just looked at me with total disdain and said, "Shut up, and go get some flowers for the casket. I'm always the corpse, you dummy." She also ordered me to pick a few roses for a corsage, because everybody knows that the corpse has to have one pinned on her shoulder. I was still feeling put upon, but I had given up arguing with her, so I headed out into the rain to fill the order for flowers. But I was suffering from a bad case of corpse envy. I was still grumbling to myself a little as I picked up an armload of yellow weeds that grew around the smokehouse for the casket blanket. It was hot and the weed juice was sticky, but getting wet was no problem. The rain felt cool against my skin as I continued my florist duties. I knew that we kept printed camping sacks in the smokehouse. So I opened the door and grabbed two, one with small red flowers and one with brown and yellow checks. The color combination made my artist's soul cringe, but there were only two sacks to be had. So on my way back to the chicken house, I picked roses for the corpse's corsage. When I got back, everyone was getting set for the funeral, and Joanne was assigning everyone a role to play. The boys grumbled some, because this wasn't really their favorite game, and playing war frontiersman would have been more fun. But she reminded them about the food after the funeral, and that made them more open to the idea. We all knew that this was an important part because people had to eat to keep up their strength, don't they? Yeah. While I had been picking flowers, Bradley had zipped up to the hog pen where he had found an old feed trough that he thought would make a good casket. It had one end knocked off and had some nails poking out here and there. But Joanne was happy with it since she didn't have to be laid out on the dusty chicken house floor. I lined the casket with the mismatched cow feed sacks, and Joanne climbed in. Her feet stuck out the end, but after I laid the yellow weeds over her, they didn't really show. The roses looked nice on her shoulder and with her hands crossed over her heart, and a saintly expression pasted on her face. We started the service. Now, my job was to be the chief mourner and to provide all the keening and theatrics, such as telling everyone in a loud scream how much I was going to miss her. On this day, I was having a little trouble with the job because I was still fuming over not getting my way yet again. Bradley said the opening prayer, and it was now time for a sad song. Joanne had already told Harold that he had to sing Just What Rose Will Do. It seems that I wasn't the only one feeling bossed around and rebellious that day, because Harold let loose with a loud rendition of Davy, Davy. We all joined in. And Joanne had to get completely out of her casket and threatened us with my piece of drawing cardboard to make us hush. We calmed down and she climbed back into her casket. After Harold preached a nice sermon, the funeral was over. We never took the game any farther because we found the cemetery part boring. And besides, none of us wanted to dig a hole that big. After the corpse joined us on her chicken feeder, Bradley wanted to know what we were having for the funeral feast. Joanne looked at me and asked, "Why didn't you get something to eat while you were out getting the flowers?" Knowing better than to argue in vain, I headed out into the rain toward the house. The screen door wasn't latched, so I sneaked into the kitchen where I took 6 leftover biscuits from under the table cover. I poked the hole in the side of each one. I filled them with brown sugar and butter, gathered them up in my dress tail, and hurried back to the others. We were all enjoying our sugar biscuits when Donnie looked around with panic and said, "Where is Danny?" Nobody had seen him leave, but it was obvious that the baby wasn't amongst us. The door wasn't open, so he couldn't be outside. But where was he? We called his name, but of course he didn't answer. We were getting really worried when I noticed a trail of biscuit crumbs leading to the back of the chicken house where there's a stack of chicken feeders. We followed the trail, and sure enough, there sat Danny in his saggy diaper, covered with dust and feathers. He was chewing on something crunchy with a puzzled frown. Oh no, not only had we let him get lost, but now he had something in his mouth. Bradley grabbed him up, and Joanne pried his mouth open and raked her fingers inside. She dug out 2 objects and held them out for us to see. There on her open palm were 2 dried, partially chewed chicken turds. There was a moment of shocked silence as we all thought of what Mama would say if she found out about this. Now, I don't know which boy broke the silence that day, with the fateful words. But somebody said, guess what? We all answered, what? He said, chicken squat. Oh my gosh, it was as a laughter bomb exploded as we all started giggling so hard that we couldn't stand up and had to collapse into the dust. Just when we thought it was over, somebody would say, chicken squat, and we would start all over again. Tears of laughter made tracks down our dirty cheeks, and so we sent our joy out into the hot August rain, and on out into the cosmos. Nobody had to explain to us that we were having fun, and we're happy living in that moment and that time. Now, we don't own that farm anymore, and the only thing left when I go back for a visit is the decaying house and a few planks of the old chicken house. A glint of sunlight on a jar lid hanging on a bit of tar paper will sometimes reflect bittersweet memories of a time long past. Faint sounds of children's laughter can be heard coming from nowhere and everywhere. Now, this is us today. See if you can see a parallel to what we were then. Joanne, married young, and has a huge extended family. She is still organized, smart, and bossy. Under her direction, her family has achieved financial security. And while she didn't finish high school, her family counts among their numbers engineers, teachers, and successful business owners. Bradley was drafted at age 19 and was sent to Vietnam. He was wounded and earned a Purple Heart. He also was commended for his heroic efforts to help the other wounded soldiers in his unit while they waited for medical help. He made the Army his career and wore his uniform with pride as he served his country. Harold was also drafted into the Army and spent most of his assigned time in Texas and visited the Alamo where his alter ego, Davy Crockett, died. He came home to Georgia and became a Baptist preacher and has pastored numerous churches. He still loves to sing. Donnie spent most of his working career at a cement company in Gainesville, where he drove a huge hunker, a cement mixer truck, one of those big things that turns, right? You know, the ones with the high cabs that look down on traffic. They shape the road, and everyone knows when they go by. He also became a Baptist preacher, and his purple-blue eyes sparkle as he looks at folks with a smile. Donnie, or we're down to Danny, the baby. He spent his career at Wrigley's chewing gum factory. He was promoted to supervisor of the mixing group, where it was his job to taste and make sure the gum was consistent. He also became a preacher, and he never suffered any ill effects from his chicken house snack. We all tell him all the time how full of it he is. So I saved myself for last. I married young, had 2 children, and fulfilled my dream of going to college when they were grown up. I obtained a degree in art education and taught at an elementary school before retiring. I was seen and heard 6 times each school day as I presented and presided over art classes made up of kindergarten through 5th grade. I would paint and draw examples for the various classes. The kids always let me be first. At my retirement luncheon, I was escorted into the library where the celebration was held. I was wearing a new dress, and one of the girls pinned a corsage on my shoulder. 3 pink roses with baby's breath. On my table were more beautiful flowers. Friends and teachers I had worked with over the years took turns talking about what a wonderful person and teacher I had been. It was amazing. Who was this paragon? Certainly couldn't be me. I sat there and smiled as the thought came to me that this was as close as I was ever going to come to attending my own funeral. And then I had to outright laugh when I thought, well, finally, I get to be the corpse.